Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Is That Brandon Sharing Thoughts, the podcast on YouTube. So, for today's podcast, I thought I would do a really random podcast episode where I basically just talk about my kind of food shop. So, whether it's like a weekly shop, a monthly shop, a yearly shop. There are some things I don't buy until the end of the year, but I will just get onto that in a second. But I just thought I'd just do a quick little podcast, and I don't know how long this is going to be, just about all the different foods I buy, the, drinks or snacks, if I do buy snacks and things like that, just so you kind of have a bit more of an idea of like what I buy or, the sorts of things that I like as part of like a daily or weekly or monthly thing. Now being 28, I think I do feel that I eat better food than what I used to back in, the before university days, kind of leading up to university and especially at university as well. So, I've got lots of stories back from the past relating to like food and stuff and meals and how I used to eat basically or not eat. I used to drink water and hope that, I wouldn't get hungry. But I thought I'd just do a quick podcast basically about like food and I guess the progression of food really. I guess I can kind of talk about that and kind of blend that into this podcast. So I think we'll just go straight in and just kind of go through what foods I like, don't like, what things I would include as part of kind of like a diet or as part of like my routine. And then every so often, what would I kind of like treat myself with, whether it's just like a random thing here or there, it's just something special I'll just get at the end of a month, or paydays just come around, I'll grab, a packet of X, Y, or Z. So I think for me, so not necessarily just thinking about healthy, but I think just thinking about like a kind of what my minimum requirements are for what I have in my fridge or my freezer or in the cupboard. I think as long as and obviously I'm not a vegan, a vegetarian, anything like that, I'm a meat eater, and I have tried a lot of new foods over the last few years. So I think for me, my taste buds are constantly always changing. There are things I used to like, such as they used to do a dessert called Angel Delights, which was basically this mixture that you'd mix together in a pot and create some sort of cake kind of thing. I used to absolutely love that. I now despise it. Crumpets again as well. So they used to be like the soft, spongy kind of, you have it with ham or egg or whatever, cheese. But again, crumpets are now a no-go for me as well. So for example, things like that I used to absolutely love and I don't. Or the other way around. So I didn't used to eat bananas, didn't used to eat Brussels sprouts, didn't used to eat basically any sort of salads like lettuce or cabbage or rocket, things like that, carrots, cucumber, but I now eat all of those, whether in a sandwich, in a pasta, just as kind of like a little random just snack really, dip it in, a sweet chili sauce or something. So yeah, that's kind of just how my food intake has changed. But yeah, like I said, in terms of the basics, so if I was to just say what would I need as a minimum in my freezer, fridge or cupboard, I think for me, having a form of meat and having a form of fish. So I know there's that whole argument, is fish meat? No, it's not. Fish is fish. Meat is like chicken, your turkey, your pork, your whatever else. So I think for me, the most important thing is like meat. So having like chicken or sausages or bacon or ham or things like that, whether it's frozen stuff or whether it's like roasted. So like, for example, I can get a roast chicken. And then stuff like fish, so whether it's your cod, your haddock, potentially like whitebait, scampi, stuff like that, which again, I know some of those are a bit more expensive, or even tinned salmon, to be fair. You've got the red and pink. I think one's the kind of real salmon and one's like your fake salmon. One's a couple of pound extra than the other. But again, if I was to treat myself at the end of a month, I would probably go for the pink one, because obviously pink is the real salmon, red's kind of like the cheapo version that you don't really know what you're eating, to be fair. So yeah, that would kind of be my main thing, because obviously with meat and with fish, you can accompany it with things like chips or vegetables or pasta or in a sandwich. So there's always something you can do, because that's your main thing and you just have an accompaniment of something else. With meat and chicken and stuff as well, you can obviously have like chicken sandwiches, you can have chicken with pasta, you can have jacket potato with cheese and chicken. You can fry stuff around or on the chicken. So chicken's always a good one, because yeah, even if you have the smallest part, you can make a half meal into a meal. And then again with fish, you can have fish sandwiches, cheese on fish. It's not really a thing, but you can have a fish with a sauce, fish with like a pasta and a sauce. So again, I think fish is more you'd have it with some sort of sauce or some sort of gravy. Chicken you kind of have more with like the vegetables or the chips or the onion rings or whatever else. I guess cheese as well. So I try not to eat cheese or bread or pasta or rice all of the time. But if I do, I go for the brown. So brown rice, brown bread, brown pasta, 100% over the white. I do every so often have a bit of white bread, or there will only be white pasta. But if I'm going to go and buy, I'll try my best to just buy the brown or the gluten-free or the wholemeal stuff. And then in terms of cheese, you've obviously got halloumi, which I absolutely love. I don't tend to put it in the oven anymore, just because the first time I did that, I set all the alarms off, so realised that wasn't a good idea. So I'd either put it in the oven on a very, very low heat, or if I'm cooking a pizza, I would just melt the halloumi onto the pizza and have it that way, or just fry it in a frying pan like I would with bacon or an egg or something like that, and then obviously sprinkle that wherever I put it, whether it's on a sandwich or chop it up into little squares and have it with like a chicken and pasta dish, or as like on top of a jacket potato. So there's always the same types of foods, but you just have it in a slightly different way, and it makes you feel like you're eating something different. And then obviously you've got mozzarella grated cheese. That's more for like your pasta, or a bit of cheesy chicken, or just something a bit different. You wouldn't have halloumi and mozzarella grated cheese both at the same time on the same dish. That's just, for me, that wouldn't work. And then if we go to like breakfast, so things like cereal, so obviously I've got like your Frosted Flakes, your corn flakes, porridge or like porridge sachets, things like that. Again, you've got sausage, bacon, eggs, tomatoes. You kind of have your breakfast kind of looking thing. You can always have sandwiches. You can have crumpets or crepes or wraps, things like that. So there's a whole variety there for the breakfasts. But I think for me the most important is some sort of cereal dish. So you've got Weetabix, Bran Flakes, All Bran. They're the ones that kind of push bad things out of you and, hydrate all these different vitamin X, Y, and Zs inside you. Or you've got your Frosted Flakes, your Bran Flakes, your Corn Flakes, things like that. Porridge, your porridge sachets, glass of milk. You've got Yakult, which is your little, the small intake of milk, which is obviously good for your inside as well. And then, so your sandwiches, your sausages, your bacon and eggs, and if you wanted to have like a fry-up breakfast. In terms of milk, so again, I used to have the semi-skimmed all the time, which is the green one, and it was actually raised to me. Someone said, well, hang on, why are you not drinking the blue milk, like the skimmed milk? You should be, like, if you're a bigger guy or you're, an adult now, you should be drinking blue milk. So I kind of vary between the two of those, whatever's available. Mostly I drink the blue milk now, but every so often, if I've only got the semi-skimmed, then I'll just get the semi-skimmed. In terms of the snacks, so bananas, raisins, things like that. I don't really eat raisins that much because although they are a fruit, they are very sugary. I guess bananas, one a day or one every other day or a couple a week. For me, that's the most I'd probably need. Again, like I said, with the rice, the bread, the pasta, they're all brown, whole grain or whole wheat. And then whatever sort of sauce is. So either like a pasta sauce, the stir-in sauce. I'll sometimes use like a tomato soup or a chicken soup or a vegetable soup as a sauce as well for pasta, which is actually quite good because you've basically got a thing. It's almost like a pre-made sauce with vegetables or a pre-made sauce with pasta or a pre-made sauce with cauliflower or whatever it is. And you're just adding that little bit of extra flavour without having to add all the spices separately. So that's quite smart. That's something I've actually started doing recently. So if I've got like a, chicken and vegetable soup, I'll just put that with my pasta. Or, like a 3 vegetable soup, I'll just have that with, some pasta and chicken or something. So it's almost like chicken, pasta, the soup, which gives it the flavour and the sauce, and it's got vegetables and some sort of healthiness within it as well. Again, kind of going back on the soups, obviously, tin chicken soup, vegetable soup, tomato soup, and like sort of beef soups with chunks of lamb or chicken or chunks of meat and chunks of vegetables, and obviously the flavour from the sauce as well. In terms of snacks, I don't really want to say that I snack that often because I don't really. I'm very stingy when it comes to buying anything anyway. So when I'm, buying just normal food, I'm not going to then go, I shouldn't really be spending money on snacks. I just don't really snack. But if I was to, and again, like I said, not all the time, it's just, I guess once a month or once in a blue moon, I might just get like your Monster Munch or Knick Knacks, or little like chocolate crepes, a couple of ice creams, I mean, the other day I had pistachio ice cream, so there was a pack of 3 there. Again, I feel like because it has pistachio on it, it's got a bit more of a nutty kind of healthy thing, or just like, a couple of cookies, or like a little pot of yogurt, or the yogurt and chocolate balls, those little desserts. You usually see like celebrities advertising and stuff. But yeah, like I said, when it comes to desserts and snacks and guilty pleasures and things like that, I don't really snack that often. But if I do, it's just to kind of get a bit of energy, or I'll end up following it up with something and vegetables for dinner. You then got things like salads and vegetables. So with salad, it's the fresh stuff like the leaves, the rocket, the cucumber, the lettuce, four of which I never used to eat, and now I basically cannot stop eating, which is obviously a good thing. And then vegetables, a mix between the frozen vegetables, so your broccolis, your Brussels sprouts, your carrots, your cauliflower, and then also your tinned beans and peas, carrots, sweet corn, whatever's quicker. And it's good to have a variety of both, because there'll be some days where you might want to put a microwave meal in, and you can have a tin of vegetables with that as well. Or you're cooking something in the oven, and then you go, might as well put something on the hob as well to just warm something up. Or you cook pasta and you just chuck in some sweet corn with it. So it's kind of just about being smart when it comes to cooking. You don't necessarily have to have the oven, the microwave, and the hob all on at the same time. But if you go, right, so I'm cooking some chicken, all right, maybe I'll get some roasted vegetables so I can just chuck them in the oven and they'll all cook together. Or I'm cooking some pasta, so I won't put as much pasta in because I can then just fill the pot up with the vegetables. Or I'm doing rice, so I can add vegetables to the rice. Or I'm doing a microwave meal, so I might put microwave rice. So it's kind of just thinking you don't need to turn all the appliances on at the same time. That'll be quite a lot in terms of your energy bill and your electric bill as well. But just thinking, how can I kind of cook 2 different meals at the same time and have enough for the one meal, and then also your backup for your second meal on another day. So for me, that's another quite little smart thing that I do as well. Again, you've got, I said, tinned salmon or even fresh salmon if you're into the fresh salmon. I know some people are into things like sushi and stuff as well. For me, I don't really like sushi. I know it's all very cold and very fresh and very healthy, but it's just not the same as, I don't want to say normal food, but like British or American or Italian food. So yeah, you've got tinned salmon and fresh salmon. Things like vinegar, ketchup, barbecues, sweet chili sauce. They're probably the only sauces I go for. I don't do any of this like Big Daddy sauce or mayonnaise or mustard or salt and pepper. I don't really have salt and pepper on anything really. Every so often I'll just sprinkle a tiny bit into a pasta or vegetables that are cooking and stuff that are boiling, but other than that I don't really use. And then again, pizzas, you can get the plain ones, the plain margherita, size small or size large, your vegetable, your meat feasts, your pepperonis, or your just your standard margherita pizzas, which you can then apply sauce on. So for example, I've had a plain margherita pizza, which is just plain pizza with cheese, and I've had leftover pasta sauce. So obviously it's basically just blended tomato. So I've just scrubbed all that on the top of the pizza, added my leftover chicken or a tin of sweet corn or a tin of peas or a tin of whatever, chuck all that in the oven, and then it comes out as like a burnt crisp kind of pizza with those extra things that you've added on there, basically just to use them up, but you've used it for something that actually will taste nice. So yeah, even just thinking about that now is getting me quite hungry. And then you've got things for like stir fries. So you've got the red, green and yellow peppers, stir fry noodles and sauces. Again, I did put on my list here, not all the time, very rare, but if I did want to make, like Chinese noodles or just noodles on a sauce or duck noodles or duck rolls, spring rolls, some sort of Oriental or Asian type food, then I'll get different things to bring those different flavors out. I haven't done that in a while, but that could be the next thing that I try. And then again, like with ice creams, it'd be like the Magnums, packet hot chocolates, small toffee or chocolate snacks. And again, not all the time. That's also very rare. Just kind of if I'm feeling in the mood or it's coming up to payday, I get one little thing to treat myself for a few days and then go back to being healthy. So for example, yesterday I had pasta and Brussels sprouts. That was my dinner, fine. And I had an ice cream and a cookie. And I woke up today, had the other cookie. Well, not this morning, had it this afternoon. And then I had my leftover fish in a sandwich and some spare Brussels sprouts. So I kind of made up for the cookie, if that makes sense. And I went for a walk earlier as well. So, and then that's the thing. As long as you're following your bad thing up with something good and having something good before you eat your something bad, and you go and walk it off or run it off or whatever, then I guess it's fine. And then, yeah, Yakult Light. So that's the kind of milk thing that you can kind of have as like a morning drink, like an Actimel, a Yakult, those little sachets of milk just to kind of get you going a little bit. Or I think there's even they even have Weetabix ones now as well, where you basically get Weetabix cereal in a bottle, you shake it up like a smoothie or a milkshake, and then you kind of just drink it, and that becomes your kind of fuel for the morning. So there are lots of different types of foods, and there are lots of different varieties of foods you can have. But I think the most important thing, and I see it all the time, I follow so many influencers, I follow so many content people, I follow so many, creatives and stuff, and it's not necessarily about what you eat or how often you eat. I guess it's just as long as you're working out, how many bad things are you eating? How many good things are you eating? If you have something bad, are you walking it off, or are you just sitting on your phone? Like, it's that kind of thing. It's like you can eat dodgy foods or bad foods or naughty foods, as long as you're putting the effort into your body that you're walking it off, running it off, playing a sport, going for a run, doing something to then take all that weight off. If you're just sitting there letting the weight build up and then wonder why you're putting on the weight, then that's why, basically. So yeah, I mean, as of right now, I would say in my cupboard I've got a couple of sachets of rice, a couple of sachets of soup, pasta sauce, I've got 2 or 3 boxes of cereal, I've got 3 or 4 microwave curries, some vegetables, some cauliflower. I think I've got 2 or 3 loaves of bread, some wraps, some chicken, some fish. Obviously, like I said, they're your 2 most important things, your chicken and your fish. I've got some butter. I've got some rocket in the fridge, got some halloumi in the fridge. And I think I've got a couple of jacket potatoes in there as well. And more fish. So that's kind of what I've got until payday, which is about a week away. So yeah, that's kind of how I live. I don't necessarily do a massive food order every other week or every week. I kind of just, as and when something seems to go down, or I seem to go, oh, I haven't had that in a while, that's when I'll go and buy that said thing. I think the only exception that I make is when it comes towards like November, December time, towards the end of every year, I go, right, I want to do a big order, like £100 order, so at least I've got stuff to get me through the winter period. So it's all like tinned stuff, packeted stuff, quick microwavable meals, things that I can make with sandwiches, or think about easy pasta and pasta sauce. Burgers are a good one. Pizza is an easy one. So yeah, I think I do it every year actually. Like, every time I go onto my my orders, I'm like, oh, the last order was November the 12th, 2024, or October the 27th, 2025. I think last year, I think it was mid-November, beginning of December, and it was just like, that's just my time, like, throughout the year, just buy things as and when I need, and then towards the end of the year, just do one big order just to get me through that winter period. Because even if I'm going out and having food when I'm out, if I want to go home and I get hungry, I don't want to have to cook, so I can just chuck something in that takes 5 minutes in the microwave to just be ready. So yeah, I guess that's kind of a quick overview of the different food that I eat now. There are previous videos of me on YouTube with my different, starters, mains and desserts, and what foods I do and don't like, and sort of like a routine and stuff like that. So if you want to go and stumble across those videos, then go ahead. But this is, as of currently May 2026, a kind of overview of what I eat, what I try to avoid, and if I do have a naughty day where I have a cookie or I have an ice cream or I have a packet of raisins, I just make sure that before I do that, I've had something good the previous day, and then obviously I follow it up again with something good as well. So yeah, if you did enjoy this episode, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you've got any other tips for yourself, just drop them down below. If you're a fitness creator, an influencer, photographer, model, any other form of creative, how do you get through your day? What sort of foods, drinks, diets, regimes do you live by or swear by? What foods do you definitely eat? What foods do you avoid? Let me know. Do you have a Monster Munch addiction? Do you love your salmon? Do you eat meat, fish, chicken? Are you a vegan or vegetarian? You have to find other ways to get protein. So yeah, let me know. And until my next review and until my next podcast, thank you for listening, and goodbye.